You know that feeling when you're driving in a brand new city?
Oh, yeah. Usually a little stressful.
Right. And you have this perfectly drawn map sitting right there on your passenger seat.
Which is incredibly comforting.
It really is. You glance down at the map, you see this straight blue line, and you confidently assume, well, I just need to drive straight.
Makes total sense.
But then you look up through the windshield, and the actual road is completely different.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there's a massive unexpected hill or a really confusing detour sign.
Or, like, maybe a flock of angry beasts just blocking the whole intersection.
Exactly. And if you only stare at the map, ignoring all of that, you are inevitably going to crash your car.
You really are.
And learning a new language, especially English, it operates on that exact same principle. Your native language is your map.
Right.
It's comforting, it got you this far, but if you rely exclusively on that map to navigate English...
Like translating every single thought word for word.
Yes. If you do that, you are going to drive straight into some very confusing detours.
That false sense of security is, it's such a perfect way to describe the experience because direct translation feels so logical in our heads.
It really does.
It feels like simple math. Word A equals word B.
Just swap them out.
Right, just swap them. But that mathematical approach completely ignores the actual terrain of the language.
Yeah.
It ignores the messy human history, the cultural quirks, and well, just the natural breathing rhythm of how native speakers actually communicate with each other out in the real world.
And that is the core mission for today's deep dive. We are exploring some really fantastic insights from the guide Speak Like a Native, Correcting Common English Errors.
Such a great resource.
It is. The whole goal here is to help you, the listener, sound more fluent, more natural, and much more confident in everyday English conversations.
Absolutely.
We're going to examine the biggest translation traps that trip up learners. And, since language learning can sometimes feel really stressful or just overwhelming.
Oh, definitely.
We are keeping things incredibly relaxed today. We're taking our time, keeping the pace comfortable, and we're just skipping all the complicated grammar jargon.
Yeah, think of this as just pulling up a chair with two friends.
Exactly.
We're going to walk through a single continuous scenario today to see how these common errors pop up in real life.
I like that approach.
Yeah, let's imagine an entire evening out. You're going to a social gathering, meeting some new people, grabbing a bite to eat, and eventually heading home.
A pretty standard night.
Right. And it's the perfect backdrop because every single one of those moments contains a hidden translation trap.
Okay, let's start right at the beginning of that evening. You walk into the gathering, you get a drink, and you strike up a conversation with someone new.
The universal starting point of human interaction.
Right. You say hello, you exchange names, and then almost immediately the conversation turns to how you spend your days.
And this is where we encounter the very first roadblock of direct translation.
Yeah.
A learner will often confidently ask their new acquaintance, "What is your work?"
Okay, let's unpack this for a second, because logically, that phrase makes total sense.
It does.
I mean, if I look at the dictionary, a job is a noun, work is a noun.
Right.
So if I want to know what noun belongs to you, asking what is your work should be completely accurate. Why can't I just treat a person's job like, any other object they possess? Why does that sound so strange to a native speaker?
Well, it's really because of the cultural psychology behind the phrasing.
Okay.
To a native English ear, asking "what is your work" sounds incredibly stiff.
Like formal.
Almost industrial. It sounds like a question a government census form might ask you.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Or like a robot trying to categorize human labor. It basically reduced the person's entire life down to the literal physical labor they perform to earn money.
That's a bit heavy for a party.
Exactly. Native speakers naturally soften this. They prefer to ask, "What do you do?"
Let's actually test how that flows. Let's act it out. Let's say I just walked up to you at this gathering and introduced myself. I'll act as a guy named Ken.
I'll play Liz.
Perfect. Hi, my name is Ken.
Hi, Ken. I'm Liz.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
So, what do you do?
I'm a nurse.
Oh, really? That's great.
Now, notice the rhythm there.
Yeah.
What do you do? It's not just about the paycheck. When English speakers ask, "What do you do?"
Yeah.
there is this unspoken "for a living" or "with your time" attached to the end of that sentence.
Ah, I see.
It implies an ongoing action. It's an invitation to discuss your lifestyle, your identity, and how you choose to spend your days.
Right.
Work is a static, heavy noun, but do is active. It's open-ended.
I love that distinction. What do you do? Just has real bounce to it.
Yeah, it does.
It's friendly and conversational rather than sounding like you're auditing their tax returns.
Exactly.
So rule number 1 for our evening out, drop the now, work from your greetings, and just ask about the action. Ask what they do.
Now let's keep the evening moving. You're chatting with your new friend, the conversation is going remarkably well, but suddenly your phone starts ringing in your pocket.
Oh, typical.
Right. You need to step away from the conversation for just a moment to take the call in the hallway.
Okay, this is a massive trap. I see this all the time. When leaving a room for a short time, so many learners instinctively say, I am coming.
And, the intention behind the phrase makes sense.
Yeah.
They're trying to communicate that they intend to return shortly.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Think about the actual physics of that sentence.
Oh, this is great.
I am coming literally means moving toward a destination.
Right.
So if I'm standing right next to you at this party and I say, I am coming, but then my physical body turns around and walks away from you toward the hallway,
You're doing the opposite.
I am defying the laws of physics. I'm doing the exact opposite of what my words are describing. It is incredibly confusing.
It really is. It causes a momentary disconnect for the native speaker.
Yeah.
But what's fascinating here is how different languages prioritize different parts of a timeline.
What do you mean?
Well, in many other languages, the phrase you use when stepping away focuses entirely on the ultimate destination of the action.
Okay.
The fact that you will eventually end up back next to the person. So, saying, I am coming, meaning back to your side, makes perfect sense within that linguistic framework.
Ah, okay. But English doesn't look at the ultimate destination.
No, it doesn't.
English looks at the immediate moment.
Precisely. Native English focuses on the temporary nature of the absence. It's essentially offering a promise of return.
Right.
That is why the natural, comfortable phrases are, I'll be right back, or give me a minute.
Let's hear how that sounds in our scenario. The phone rings and I need to step away. Hey, where are you going?
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Just need to take this call.
I'll be right back. It handles the social dynamic so beautifully.
It really does.
It's polite. It reassures the person that you aren't, just abandoning them. And most importantly, it avoids the bizarre irony of walking away while shouting that you are arriving.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the alternative, give me a minute, functions the exact same way.
Yeah.
It's a small, polite request for patience. It acknowledges the immediate departure while promising a quick return.
All right, so you took your phone call, you survived the hallway, and you've rejoined the party.
Success.
But at this point in the evening, everyone is starting to feel a bit restless. The natural shift in any long gathering is addressing basic physical needs.
Yeah.
It is time to talk about food.
A truly universal human experience.
Yes. And the guide highlights a highly specific and honestly beautifully poetic translation mistake learners make when expressing this need.
Oh, I know this one.
They will announce to the room, I want chop food.
I want chopped food. When you hear it translated like that, you immediately understand the visual the speaker is trying to create.
It is incredibly vivid. If you think about the actual mechanics of preparing a meal, what are you physically doing?
Right.
You're standing at a counter, you're chopping vegetables, chopping meat, dicing ingredients.
It's an active process.
It's a very literal physical translation of the labor required to sustain yourself. I honestly kind of wish English was this descriptive all the time.
It does paint a wonderful picture of a kitchen in action.
It does.
However, if we pull back and look at the broader philosophy of English, we see a totally different approach to basic human needs.
Okay, how so?
English often prefers to express a simple internal state of being, rather than describing the external physical mechanics of an action.
Interesting.
Yeah, native English strips away the poetry in these everyday moments in favor of stark simplicity.
So we don't need to describe the kitchen knives or the cooking process. We just state the desire or the physical feeling. The natural corrections are almost brutally simple. Just, I want to eat, or even just, I'm hungry.
Exactly.
Let's demonstrate how straightforward that sounds.
Sounds good. Are you hungry?
Yes, I am.
What do you want to eat?
I want to eat rice and chicken.
That sounds delicious.
It takes all the pressure off. I'm hungry, I want to eat. You aren't building a complex narrative about food preparation. You are just stating a fact about your current state.
And this realization should actually be a huge relief for a language learner.
How so?
Often we assume that sounding native means using more complex descriptive vocabulary.
Oh, right. We try to sound fancy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in many everyday situations, sounding native actually means simplifying your thoughts. You don't have to translate the complex physical actions. You just state the core need.
That is a great tip. Okay, so we've decided to get food. We leave the gathering, we hit up a local spot for that rice and chicken, and now we reach the end of the meal.
The dreaded moment.
The check arrives. And this brings us to a topic that constantly trips up learners, regardless of how advanced their vocabulary might be.
Oh, yeah?
It involves directionality, and it involves money.
The transaction verbs. Navigating the words we use when money changes hands between two people.
It's the classic trap. The one you hear over and over is a learner saying, I borrowed him money.
I borrowed him money. The context usually makes their intention clear.
Right.
They're trying to explain that they gave some cash to a friend who forgot their wallet.
Yeah, they did a nice thing.
But grammatically, the sentence just collapses in on itself because the direction of the physical action is completely backward.
The correct phrase is, I lent him money. Borrow and lend.
Yes.
They are two halves of the exact same interaction, but if you mix them up, you completely reverse the meaning of the sentence.
It might help to hear the correct usage first to let the rhythm sink in before we break down the mechanics of why it works.
Let's do it. Did you lend Sarah some money?
Yes, I lent her $20 yesterday.
That was kind of you.
Notice the flow of the currency in that scenario.
Okay.
The $20 started in my possession, and I gave it to Sarah. Therefore, I lent it.
To make this stick, I want to offer a physical visualization for everyone listening.
Oh, I love visual anchors.
Yeah. I want you to imagine you're sitting at the dinner table holding a $20 bill in your hands.
Okay, I have it.
If you are borrowing money, imagine yourself reaching across the table, taking that $20 bill and pulling it inward, tight against your own chest.
Got it.
Borrowing is always an inward motion. You are pulling the object toward yourself. You are the receiver.
That physical anchor is crucial. Borrow pulls in, it comes to you.
Now reset the scene. You're holding the $20 bill. If you were lending the money, imagine taking your hands and pushing them away from your chest, offering the bill across the table to someone else.
Okay, pushing away.
Right. Lending is always an outward motion. You are pushing the object away. You are the giver.
Borrow pulls in, lend pushes out.
Exactly.
And many languages use the exact same root verb for both sides of that transaction.
Really?
Yeah, they rely on context clues to figure out who is giving and who is receiving. But English demands two completely different verbs.
Wow, that is tricky.
It is. But if you can master this push and pull directional difference, it will instantly make your English sound precise.
Because if you don't...
Right. You'll realize that saying, I borrowed him money, essentially means you physically pulled the money towards your own chest while simultaneously trying to push it toward his chest.
Which breaks the laws of physics again.
Exactly.
You cannot pull and push the same object at the exact same time. It's impossible.
Nope.
Okay, so the bill is paid. We have successfully navigated the money trap. Our evening out is coming to an end. We head back home, we step inside, and the house is completely pitch black.
Spooky.
This brings us to our final scenario, and it is another fascinating look at how physical actions dictate English vocabulary.
This is perhaps my favorite example because it reveals how heavily language is influenced by technological history.
Yes. So the mistake we see here is someone walking into that pitch black hallway and asking, can you open the light?
Open the light. And once again, the underlying logic is completely sound.
It really is.
If you look at the natural world, the phrasing makes perfect sense.
It totally does.
Yeah.
Imagine a dark room during the daytime. How do you get light to enter?
You open the curtains.
Right. You open the heavy wooden shutters, you open a window, you're treating the source of the brightness like a physical doorway that needs to be unsealed to let the illumination flow inside.
And conceptually, treating light as something you open is a beautiful, natural way to interact with the world.
I agree.
But modern English rejects that natural logic.
Of course it does.
The correct phrasing is, turn on the light.
Yeah.
And to plunge the room back into darkness, you turn off the light. Let's hear how that sounds as we walk through the front door. It's really dark in here.
Yeah.
Can you turn on the light?
Sure.
Turn on and turn off.
Mm-hmm.
But if we pause and actually think about those words, it raises a rather strange question.
Which is?
Why are we using the verb turn?
Right. Because when I walk into my house and hit the light switch, I am just pressing a flat, rectangular piece of plastic against the wall.
Exactly.
Nothing is rotating. My wrist isn't turning. I am just pushing a button.
The verb makes no sense for modern technology.
Yeah.
But English vocabulary relies heavily on the mechanical history of an action. Think about how human beings controlled light indoors before flat plastic electrical switches existed.
Well, you had to deal with fire.
Yes.
You had oil lamps where you physically turned a little metal dial to raise the wick higher out of the oil.
Exactly. And during the Victorian era with gas lighting, you had to physically turn a metal valve to allow the invisible gas to flow through the pipes before you could strike a match.
Oh, wow. I never thought about that.
Even the very first primitive electrical switches installed in homes were rotary switches. They were little wooden or brass knobs that you had to physically grip and turn in a hard circle to complete the electrical circuit.
That is wild. The physical technology of the 1800s required a literal turning motion with your hand.
And as the technology advanced, we replaced the brass dials and gas valves with flat plastic switches.
Right.
And now we just tap glass screens on our smartphones to control smart bulbs. The physical action completely changed, but the language was already set in stone. The vocabulary survived. We still turn on the light.
It is like the English language is a museum of obsolete technology.
It really is.
We do this everywhere. We still tell people to hang up the phone, even though we just press a red circle on a screen.
So true.
We haven't hung a physical telephone receiver onto a metal wall hook in decades. We tell people to roll up their car windows, even though we are just pulling a tiny electric trigger, not cranking a handle in circles.
Language is a fossil record of human habit. That is why the natural logic of opening a light like a window fails. You aren't interacting with nature. You are interacting with the ghost of a Victorian gas lamp. You turn it on.
What a fantastic note to end our evening on. We have covered an entire night out.
We really did.
We started by meeting a stranger at a gathering. We stepped away to take a call. We simplified our need for food. We carefully pushed and pulled our money to pay the bill. And we finally turned on the lights at home.
A very productive night.
Definitely. Now, to make sure the rhythm of these phrases really settles in, let's just isolate the correct versions for a second. Listeners, pay attention to the bounce and the flow of the natural English. What do?
I am a teacher.
I'll be right back.
I want to eat.
I lent him money.
Turn on the light.
The rhythm is so much smoother without the clunky direct translations.
It really is.
And to truly wrap this up, the source guide provides a brilliant mega dialogue.
Oh, I like this part.
It is a single, continuous conversation that organically weaves almost all of these scenarios together.
Let's see how this all sounds when we put it together for real. Notice how natural the transitions feel when you drop the translation map and just let the English flow.
Hi, what do?
I work as a teacher.
That's nice.
Thank you.
I'm hungry.
Me too. Let's go eat.
Okay, but wait.
What happened?
Can you turn on the light first?
Sure.
So what does this all mean for you as a learner? When we look at that entire evening, from the introductions to the light switch, the core takeaway is undeniable. Sounding natural in English requires you to be brave enough to put the map away.
You really have to.
You have to let go of the rigid, word-for-word translation from your native language.
Because that map will steer you wrong.
Yeah.
It will convince you to say, I am coming, while walking away. Or trick you into trying to pull and push money at the same time. It forces you to rely on a strict logic that the English language simply abandoned centuries ago.
You have to embrace the messiness. Embrace the fact that we ask about your doing instead of your working. Embrace the fossilized technology of turning on a modern smart bulb.
And above all, be kind to yourself during this process.
Absolutely.
Do not feel discouraged if you find yourself slipping into these translation traps. They are incredibly common because your brain is just trying to find a logical pattern.
It's doing its job.
Exactly. By practicing these natural phrases, visualizing the actions, and understanding the history behind them, the rigid translation process will start to fade. It will stop feeling like math and will start feeling like instinct.
It is entirely about getting comfortable with the rhythm until it becomes second nature.
Before we close out this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. We have spent this entire session analyzing the bizarre, seemingly illogical quirks of the English language. But I want you to turn that lens around. Think about a common phrase, an idiom, or a daily greeting in your own native language.
Yeah, that is an interesting challenge.
If you take that deeply familiar phrase from your native language and translate it strictly word for word into English.
Does it make any logical sense?
Right. Or does it suddenly sound completely absurd and physically impossible?
That really changes your perspective. It highlights the fact that no language operates purely on scientific logic.
It raises a profound question about human communication. How much of the language we confidently use every single day is actually rooted in logic, and how much of it is just shared cultural memory?
Wow.
Language isn't an equation to be solved. It is a massive, tangled web of history, culture, and human habit.
Keep that in mind the next time you find yourself frustrated by a strange English phrase. Don't look for the logic. Look for the old Victorian gas lamp hiding behind the words. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep practicing, keep listening, and we will catch you next time.